Diversity drive has backfired, warns Badenoch, with the subtitle of White Men Need Consideration as Much as Black Women Under Inclusion Policies. I'd say white men need more consideration. No. Yeah, she's basically saying that a lot of this stuff, this diversity, a lot of this, there's a lot of money in it, and it's arguably a waste of money. This is what some studies are showing, that it's not leading to the desired outcomes.
Yeah.
And in some cases, it's backfiring, and also in terms of focusing on, like, for example, white working-class men who seem to be pretty hard done by.
Well, certainly white working-class boys are not showing particularly good educational attainment and so on at the moment. That seems to be a genuine worry that nobody's very keen to talk about. I mean, this isn't a new thing, though, is it? We've had implicit bias testing and so on for quite some time. Seem to be on endlessly cycling through methods to try and address something that is resilient.
Yeah, I mean, there are things like unconscious bias, which if you get a psychologist talking about it, might mean something. Move it into a sociologist and all of a sudden it's a waste of time. So those things I don't necessarily agree with. I think there's so much fascinating detail within this subheadline. So white men need consideration as much as black women. You can argue about the as much, but the idea that both groups need consideration is interesting. But white men aren't this one single homogeneous lump.
No.
If you are from a privileged background...
Well, some of them are.
Well, yeah, some of them, yeah.
They look the same to me, to be honest.
But some of them are so privileged. You know, if you go to... You're privately educated, you stand a darn good chance of running the country. If
Well,
you're
this
poor...
is something I've said previously. Do you know Afua Hirsch? She's a Guardian commentator, I think Ghanaian-born or half Ghanaian, but privately educated at Wimbledon School, went to Oxbridge, and now writes columns about diversity and so on in The Guardian. And they make me bristle with indignation because she has had vastly more privilege than I have, for instance. And I suspect than either of you.
No.
You're still upset that you didn't get in?
I definitely beat her.
Which, of course, she's allowed to write about these things, but the implication is that she knows whereof she speaks. This is I agree with you. Wealth, power, privilege, a stable family, these things are privileges.
Class is still dominating.
Exactly, you know, and the endless attempt
and
to...
I'm grateful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But then there's a question about discrimination as to why you would find more people of ethnic backgrounds in the poorer groups.
Yeah.
We look at that. But instead of looking at that as the second issue, we don't. We look at it first.
Yeah.
Think about race first and somehow say, oh, no, this group is suffering for discrimination reasons. No, it's because you're from a poor background. You're white from a poor background, you're going to suffer as well.
It becomes a grift,
But the fact it's coming from the Equalities Minister,
yes,
that's her job, and she's basically saying, this is not the answer.
And she has also raised up a white man by marrying him as well. A poor, unworthy Scot, I believe, has been Mr. Badenoch, who
Good
was...
for him.
yeah, absolutely. Anyway, we wish her well, obviously, our next Prime Minister.